welcome to Pitchside. Now, what a win by Lahore Qalandars, a much-needed win, like we rightly discussed in the pre-match. So 186 for 5 is what they made in their 19 overs and 40 for 21. I mean, it was a quick-fire innings, much-needed, like I said, by Lahore Qalandars. Great partnership in the middle by Daryl Mitchell and Sikandar Raza. And because we're talking about Sikandar Raza, he's also joining us on Pitchside alongside Mark Butcher. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us, Sikandar. Firstly, well done on the win. Because, like I said, Sikandar had, Lahore Qalandars had won 2 out of the 5 games that they had played. So, talk us through the initial thoughts that, you've won finally after losing a few games. How does it feel?
Yeah, it certainly feels good. One of the things we said in the changing room was that a lot of the teams, when they start losing, the characters of players really need to shine. And we did say that in the changing room that if Lahore Qalandars is truly a team where there's a lot of character in the changing room, then today the character has to come out. There was a bit of low energy in the changing room, I thought, because we thought maybe this was a 150, 160 wicket. So when they score that, but feeling towards the square side, I didn't think. I thought the grass wasn't helping the ball to skid through. I thought it was a bit variable pace and variable bounce, but still it was on the lower side. Nothing was shooting. So we were pretty confident about the chase.
I've got to ask you one more thing though. What is the batting number that you prefer to bat on? Is there a preference? Because we've seen you bat like lower down the order, and certainly the way you bat makes you feel like, I should be batting up.
I never thought about that, to be honest, Zainab. I think the situation... So there is a certain role that I practice for, and when I find the team in that certain position that it's my time, and there could be a day where I walk down, where I walk out of the changing room maybe when the team is just 2 down because it's 13 overs gone, and that is my speciality, that is my role, and I practice a lot. So I don't have a specialized number. I keep in an open mind whenever my team is needed. Once I have that, I always say if I have the team needs ahead of my own personal needs, I should be able to do or at least give my best shot to do the job done, get the job done for the team.
Having said that though, did you run out of the door just in case Shaheen or somebody else came in front of you this evening? Because it was a really pivotal point in the game where you entered it today.
No. Today it was my turn. It was because they have taken the time out in 13 overs. So that is where I walk out after 12, 13 overs. It's my time. So at no point did Shaheen or anybody sent a message saying that we'll assess, or Asif Ali was sitting behind me, and in the meeting we said that we'll keep you and Asif flexible. But as soon as the 12 over hit, I knew that it was my turn to go out, and I just walked out, and that was it.
What was the chat then between you and Daryl Mitchell when you were out there? Because, Kamran Ghulam in his interview mentioned the fact that he personally didn't find it the easiest wicket to bat on.
Yeah, so what we discussed was, to be honest with you, we kept it really light. We actually asked each other, what do you think he's going to do next ball? And we gave each other some hints, and he said, okay, if that's it, I'm going to trust you and I'm going to play a certain shot. I can't reveal too much, but we kept it lively out there. I think it was very important to stay calm and relaxed, and most importantly, happy. Once you're calm and relaxed, and we kept those jokes coming while we were remaining focused. And a lot of the times we did guess the ball right, what was going to happen, and luckily we pulled it off.
But... it's also been a test for Shaheen Shah Afridi's leadership, because when you have a few back-to-back losses, leadership comes into play. And I'll ask the same question to Sikandar as well. But what have you liked about Shaheen Shah so far?
Well, taking it perhaps a little bit away from the captaincy, I think that the most important part of it was you lose your first home game. Obviously, you come to Lahore and you think to yourselves, this is our fortress. This is where we're going to make a real run on the league table. You lose the first game and don't play particularly well. So then it was very important to come out this time with an attitude whereby you were kind of give everything a proper shot right from the very first ball. Now, funnily enough, first ball from Shaheen was a wide, huge wide almost towards first slip, and you think, oh my goodness, are they going to come out and not be on the ball during the bowling innings first time round? That wasn't really the case. I thought Tom Curran bowled superbly. Shaheen uses all of his variations in terms of his bowling options very, very well. And I think in the end, even under the onslaught from Rizwan and Karam Ghulam at the very end, they all sort of kept their heads, and there was no sort of hint of, this is getting away from us. it looked as though they were thinking, well, this is a good pitch. If they can do that at the back end, then so can we. So I think there's a calmness there in T20 cricket that cannot be underestimated. You need to be able to stay focused on the job and not allow things when they go slightly against you to kind of get into the mindset of the team. The captain doesn't panic. The players around them don't panic. Everybody stays calm and keeps their eyes on the prize.
I mean, that's an important word, panic, because that's exactly what you don't want to be doing as a side after you've lost. I mean, just talk us through what's been the team talk around you, after the losses that you've had.
No, we kept it really positive. I mean, after the last loss, we said that only one guy has got some runs and we still got to 130. I mean, not any other has chipped in. Imagine if one guy had a partnership and we could have got 160. And I thought a day before yesterday, when we got 130, had we got 160, it would have been a different game on that particular wicket with the seam attack that we had. So today, all we said was, boys, we actually need two guys to chip in and then basically we can chase this down. And that was all about it, to be honest.
Daryl Mitchell. Fabulous player, as we all know, we've seen in international cricket. But how much fun is it batting with somebody who, if he gets a bad ball, he puts it away, hits it for 4 or 6. But in between, he's drilling low-risk shots, always scoring, always turning the strike over.
Yeah, certainly Daryl plays his cricket very smartly, percentage cricket as well. I think apart from one ball that he missed time, everything was on the ground, everything was from the middle of the bat, and that gives you as a batter, gives you a lot of confidence that when I'm taking somebody down, there's a very good chance he's going to come off the middle of the bat, and that gives you that confidence. But he kept talking to me and I kept talking to him, and we kept planning who we're going to target, how many runs are we looking for, and one of the overs went for only 6 runs, and we looked up and we still needed 10.5, so we said this is still doable. So the word you used, panic, there was none when we were batting out there.
Yeah, you can't be a Qalandari and start panicking, because that's one of the things about Lahore Qalandars. They have, the name itself, it resonates calmness, hopefully, within the camp as well. Just a word on the crowd, though, because what we've seen so far is that whenever the Qalandars are playing, it's just been absolutely magnificent.
Yeah, certainly. This question was asked to me in Multan, and my answer was pretty much the same, that in my 2 years previously, Lahore has never let us down. And I know that the little bit or in 2 years what I've learned about Lahore, they're not going to let us down this year either. Our first game was house full, was packed. Today was packed. The crowd kept coming in, especially when we found ourselves in winning position. I thought there were more people coming in to watch us chase that. So Lahore Qalandars, Lahore as a city never let us down, and we've got a few more games here, and before we even get there, inshallah, I know that it's going to be a packed house again. And it's really nice to play in front of a packed house.
Absolutely. The energy and the vibe is completely different. But in terms of leadership, I was asking, obviously, Butch about Shaheen's leadership. Is he the kind who is very consultative, gets the group involved, or he's more quiet and unassuming? What kind of a character is he? We know what he's like on the field, very animated as a fast bowler, but what is he like off the field? I
think as a leader, he's the other way around. He's a lot calm. He gives everybody time to approach him and run the ideas past him. But what I like about him, he makes his own decisions, but he consults everybody, and we all trust him with his decision as well. Daryl Mitchell has been a great addition to our squad as well. Of course, Shaheen comes to me at times as well, think what I'm thinking, how I'm reading the game, what the wicket looks like from square on. So he gives his ear to everybody, but he's a very strong and firm leader, which is nice.
What are the areas, Bush, that you perhaps feel that Qalandars still need to work on, because we still have plenty of more games left in the tournament?
Yeah, for sure. I don't think it was a complete performance by any stretch. I also think that the top of the order is something of a little bit of a concern, and that actually, given the depth that you guys have, particularly with Tom Curran coming into the side, that perhaps you might look at opening with Abdullah Shafiq and everybody just sort of shifting up one, because you've still got plenty of batting. You might have needed, Daryl Mitchell himself bowled 4 overs tonight. You might have needed another fast bowler. Is that something that perhaps you might consider?
No, we certainly will consider. I think one thing that we will look at is what the wickets are going to be like, because I never saw Qaddafi like this in the past 2 years. So I was actually surprised to see a wicket like that. So I think hopefully moving forward, it's a decision that management has to make. But the little that I do understand and know that we're going to make that decision, final 11 should be made looking at the wicket rather than just being in the hotels from now on.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I think you'll be relieved because you've got 2 more points on that table. It's all about the playoffs. Remember, the top 4 teams are going to be the ones that will be qualifying. So it's a race to the top 4. And where are Lahore Qalandars? Well, they're right behind Islamabad United. 10 points for Islamabad United because they've won all the games that they've played. But Qalandars perhaps sitting in a better place because they have won today, and perhaps much needed momentum as well in terms of picking up in this tournament. All right, Sikandar, I think it's time to let you go so that you can go and celebrate and hopefully come back sooner and do it again, all over again. There's not much, turnaround time in the HBLPSL. So thank you so much. I'm going to let you go. It's a pleasure to have him around, and what a prolific performance by Sikandar Raza as well. On that note, we'll take a short breather, and when we are back, we'll be having a closer look at the game and exactly what happened. So don't go anywhere. Well, Lahore Qalandars making all the Qalandar fans really proud with their performance today. 185 for 3 was what Multan Sultans made. Rizwan at the top, scoring that 76 in 48 balls. Obviously gave them some kind of a total. Quram as well, chipping in with that important 50. But in response, Daryl Mitchell and Sikandar Raza, that partnership was really the turning point of the game, and they made it look easy in the end, winning by 5 wickets. Well, like I said, we're back on pitch side, and all the Qalandar fans are going to be really happy. All the Lahore fans are going to be really happy. And because we're talking about Lahore, I've been joined by a Lahoreite. Mr. Ramiz Raja joins us on pitch side.
I'm the original Rashid.
You're the original. You're the OG, as we call it, the OG. Great performance by Lahore. Exactly what they needed. We've spoken about that. But that partnership, Ramiz, Mitchell and Sikandar Raza, I mean, it really sort of got them that momentum that they required.
Yeah, I mean, the value of staying at the crease, value of reading the situation, and Sikandar Raza making use of his extremely good form. They played the situation very cleverly. Daryl Mitchell was superb because he had to handle himself. You know, he was not really on red-hot form. And somehow he had to get cracking in the middle phase of the innings to maintain that 10 and over presence at the crease. So it was really methodical, really well played.
It was indeed well played, especially when we talk about Daryl Mitchell. I mean, he's definitely the star of today's game. He's been magnificent. We've seen him do it plenty of times in international cricket, and nice to see him win it for Lahore Qalandars. He's also our player of the match today.
Yeah, a magnificent innings from the Kiwi. Bowled 4 overs tonight as well. He might not want to do that again, but look at some of the strokes here. The stillness of the head, the way that whenever he got something that was within a hitting zone, invariably it went for 4 or 6. In between that, he had scratched around actually. First 9 or 10 deliveries, he found it really difficult, but after that he was unstoppable.
Just looking at the conditions then, Ramiz, I mean, is it a case of, like Butch said, that you play a few balls and get your eye in, and then you can score some runs? We saw that today, and the batting wasn't particularly easy out there, but people have got that opportunity to score if they apply themselves.
Yeah, I mean, you can get into that negative frame of mind looking at the amount of grass in a T20 game. You normally don't do that. But I thought the pitch was pretty benign. It just played wonderfully well. All it required was for you to apply yourself for the first 10-15 runs, and then batting became a lot easier. But this is good in a way because, a lot of Pakistani batsmen are just a little bit shy and afraid at times of handling a green pitch. Just from optics point of view and from technical point of view. And I think if they carry on to prepare such pitches for domestic cricket, I think it'll help them to get the job done in overseas tours also, going to England and Australia, so they don't get the DNA shock because it'd probably be part of the system.
I tell you what, one of the things, a great lesson for anybody watching, fellow pros and for youngsters alike, was Daryl Mitchell's ability to drill the ball hard along the ground. When he wasn't trying to hit the ball for 4 or 6, the scoring strokes were low risk, but they were powerful and they were all full of great technique. And so therefore it made him almost impossible to bowl to, and just took all of the life out of Multan Sultans, because you're watching a guy just knock it off and thinking he's not giving us a chance here. There's no nonsense. It was all very, very controlled, excellent batting.
Absolutely. Speaking of controlled and excellent batting, we also saw that from his partner, Sikandar Raza, who we had earlier on here as a guest on pitch side. Time to have a look at some of his sixes.
Yeah, I mean, he's maintaining very good form, and this is how the fun started for him. Really very keen to get cracking against spin, but his batting against pace today on this pitch was special as well. Some very good hitting the ball straight and high and long.
At 185 in the mid-innings, how do you think Multan Sultans would be feeling at that point, Butch?
I think they were pretty happy with it. I suppose, you know, with the benefit of hindsight, you might look back and go, well, they're only 3 down. Could they have made a little bit more use of their resources and gone a little harder a little earlier? They'd obviously come out with a plan batting first of not losing wickets in that power play, which has undone teams in the previous 2 matches here. So they did that pretty well. I reckon they were pretty happy with themselves at the halfway point. I guess the one thing for them is that just they're a tiny little bit light in terms of real experience in that bowling lineup. I mean, they were left in a situation there where Bracewell might have had to have bowled the last over had the game gone that far. They only had the 5 options, and a couple of them are very, very young in the tooth and lacking that little bit of nous.
They do have experience at the top, though, in the form of their captain, Mohammad Rizwan, who was in great form today, scored a few runs. We saw that 100 against Karachi Kings right in the beginning of the HBLPSL as well. Time to revisit his innings.
Yeah, he took his time, but when he decided it was the moment to put his foot down, there was no stopping Mohammad Rizwan. Just some wonderful power. That over mid-wicket was a towering blow. A little bit of luck here and there as well, but all of the usual Mohammad Rizwan spark, and that favoured area in front of square on the leg side took a real peppering. Great leadership, great captaincy, took the plan on and saw it through, but in the end it wasn't enough.
Also, when you talk about selection, Ramiz, I mean, Lahore Qalandars brought in Tom Curran in their squad, and he bowled in particular really well.
Yeah, I mean, Shaheen Afridi was raving about how well he bowled. Change of pace, you know, there's variation, and temperament was rock solid as well. Never easy to bowl in the middle phase of the innings. And then it was staggered sort of role that he was given. But overall, I thought, you know, they had it under control. And at the break, you know, Shaheen Afridi did mention that Sikandar Raza said that it's a doable job, and he was involved in this.
Butch, he's had his injury problems as well. You know a lot about him from Surrey. I mean, it's just good to see him perform here.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's much sought after when he's fit, because he gives you so many options as a captain in the ways that you can use him. You can use him with a new ball, as Shaheen did today. He bowls great through the middle overs, because those changes of pace are the sort of thing that can stop batters in their tracks when they're going at you. Suddenly a miscue out. You know, the delivery that he got Shea Hope with was an absolute beauty. And on other days, he might find himself bowling at the death. I do think, though, that Qalandars might have to have a look at that 11. I know I've mentioned it before, but there is definitely a way they can fit another specialist fast bowler, or even a spinner should the conditions want it, with the length of batting that they have. I don't think they need to keep messing around with this man at the top of the order. They've got Abdullah Shafiq to do that anyway.
That's actually a good point, you know, and perhaps they can revisit their team and everything. Obviously, they've got the win now. But going forward, you got to get the balance right. In terms of Multan Sultans, we spoke about how their bowling has been a concern for them, Ramiz, and we've seen that in the last few games that has been the main sort of concern overall when you look at their performance so far. Ubaid Shah, though, has been, you know, somebody who's been rather positive in terms of performance and overall as well for them.
Yeah, I mean, it can't be a one-man effort. I mean, T20 is about, you know, bowling in pairs and making sure that you help each other. Well, he's been helping the entire team on his own. He's got pace, he's got rock-solid temperament for a young kid, he's got lovely bowling action, but the others have got to come to his rescue. And I think Akif has got to find that Yorker length. I think he's just too raw to be performing under pressure. I think that's been a real cause of concern for Multan Sultans. When the pressure is on in the last 4 or 5 overs, they just don't have the goods really to then have a plan and follow through.
Well, there's not much time for Multan Sultans then to really turn it around, because they've got to pretty much win everything that's there and then also hope for some other results to go their way. So plenty to look forward to in this HBLPSL. We'll take a short break. Catch you guys just in a bit. Fabulous win then by Lahore Qalandars. Now I've been joined by Martin Kaptal and Bazid Khan on pitchside. Baz, Lahore can sleep well tonight.
Absolutely. All of Lahore.
All of Lahore.
Not just Lahore.
I'm referring to that, don't worry.
Yeah,
I'm referring
correct.
to all of Lahore.
But will they sleep? They won't sleep till about 4 o'clock. Probably watching our show and then they'll celebrate.
Absolutely. But they've got a reason to celebrate. Let's talk about why they should be celebrating, Baz, today.
Yeah, they've got so much potential in their resources. It's just about, I think if Lahore Qalandars use their resources well, they're almost, I'll say almost, not quite, but almost at par with Islamabad United. They've got the fast bowling, they've got their spinners, they also have just settled their batting lineup. They've got to settle their opener, and maybe, we talk about this again, push all these batters up one, and they've got a very potent batting order. I think the one box they haven't ticked is the opening, and that is the problem. They've tried a few people, but it's not working. So maybe look at Abdullah Shafiq. Look at I would say Sam Billings if they don't want Abdullah Shafiq up the order. But otherwise, I think Lahore Qalandars, if they get their personnel sorted, they've got enough in their rank to actually challenge most sides.
But one of the things that's been a real standout for them, Guppy, is that in the past they've sort of relied on Fakhar Zaman to really get them runs, and when he scores, Lahore ends up often winning. It's just nice to see that there's performances that are coming through that middle order, whether it's Sikandar Raza or Daryl Mitchell in the past few games as well. So there is some balance that's being added overall to that batting.
Yeah, absolutely. And Fakhar Zaman is a fantastic player for them. He's a talisman for them, but it can't rely on one person. Everybody's got to chip in when they can. And Daryl's, I think that was his second 50 tonight in the PSL this year. So, he has come to the party when they've needed him, and Sikandar Raza as well has put some contributions on the board. And Sam Billings, we all know what sort of player he is here. He's been fantastic for Lahore over the years. And, once he starts to find a little bit of form there, there could be quite a formidable batting lineup.
They definitely have a formidable batting lineup. Now, we saw Sikandar Raza, how good he was with the bat, with the ball. Overall, he's been good in the HBLPSL, but he's also been good in the field. Time to have a look at the safe hands for today.
Yeah, it's everywhere you look for Lahore Qalandars, it's Sikandar Raza, and the celebration is immense every time he does get involved in the action. A catch in the air at night is always difficult, but he's very safe in the hot zones especially. So they make sure that he's involved, and they make sure that they position him where the ball is most likely to come. This again, a short ball. This was maybe slightly easier because he had a little more time, but again, the celebration tells you all that how much it means to him, how much it means to him to play for Lahore Qalandars.
Now, from a Multan Sultans perspective, Baz, they've lost so many games. They've just won one. It's not been a great HBLPSL tournament so far for them. Do they still perhaps have any chance at all?
Well, they do have a chance. All you need to do is win 4 games, so they're still in the mix. But I don't think they've got their 11 sorted as yet. The problem starts with the draft when they offload their bowlers. The core of their bowling left or sort of was offloaded in the draft, and they never found a solution to that. Now the problem then is that they know and we know that their bowling is the weak link. Now how does Multan Sultans win a game? They win a game when their batting gets you 20, 30 runs above par. And that was the one game that they did win. They got to 240. And today, they got to 180, but in the middle, you thought they weren't taking enough risks. Now, Marty would tell you more, but I reckon in the batting, when you play low risk, it eventually becomes high risk for your team in the T20 arena because you're not scoring enough runs. And eventually, when you set a total, you come back and say, well, after the game you say we're 20 runs short. But how will you get those 20 runs short is taking more risks earlier in the game. And I thought they left it too late today, considering the fact that they have a weaker bowling attack that's not performing. So you need to give them a cushion as well.
Low risk or high risk, Marty? I think, I wouldn't be surprised with your answer, but which side of the fence are you on?
Well, you got to do what's in front of you in the game situation. You got to play to that. And unfortunately, Mohammad Rizwan struggled early on today, and we all know what a great player he is when he gets off to a good start. He doesn't hit you for six or anything like that, or doesn't bludgeon the ball. He hits nice cricket shots, hits gaps, runs well, and that's how he gets himself going. But he was starved of strike early. I think he was faced less than 10 ballers in the power play or thereabouts. So he didn't have a lot of strike, couldn't get that momentum going into his innings, and then it wasn't until later on when that partnership developed from the 10th over onwards, he started to get a little bit of rhythm into his batting, and he was able to find the rope a lot more.
Well, one thing that we saw today was that there was a lot of pace on display overall because Rishad Hussain and Osama Mir were dropped from both the sides. Time to have a quick look at Lahore's wickets.
Yeah, this was totally mishit. He almost went across the line of the ball. He hasn't had a great HBLPSL. This was, I think, Fakhar setting himself up for the short ball and eventually fell because the ball was pitched up. There was this moment where Ubaid Shah got back-to-back wickets and Multan Sultans were right in the game.
But there was one point in the game, though, Guppy, when we thought that maybe Multan Sultan has got things under control. It was that spell by Ubaid Shah when he got the wicket of Billings, and just at that point, you thought that maybe Multan has got, they've got that momentum and rhythm going for them.
Yeah, he bowled very well tonight, didn't he? Bowled with a lot of pace, a lot of fire, and we know what his older brothers can do with the ball as well, and he's following suit. And for him to get to go here with the Multan Sultans, he's got a bright future ahead of him. So, I'm really excited to watch him moving forward in this tournament and see if he can continue the form he showed tonight.
These Shah brothers are so talented, Baz, and there's three of them in different franchises. How do you differentiate perhaps Ubaid from Naseem?
At the moment, Ubaid has one particular length which he bowls really well. It is short of length and the bouncer. Maybe he can develop something which is slightly fuller. He doesn't at the moment have that ball that is pitched up and doesn't have that much pace. But I think he can develop into a really good. I think he's got maybe a yard on Naseem Shah, but Naseem Shah overall is much more skilled in terms of seaming the ball and being able to do more with the cricket ball. But I think Ubaid is talented enough to be able to replicate a really good fast bowler, and he's very strong too. So once he bowls that delivery into the pitch, you can almost, we're sitting in the commentary box, you almost feel the batter getting hit on the bat because it goes so hard at the bat.
Yeah, absolutely. He's super talented and has a bright future ahead. In case you guys missed out on his wickets today, it's time to revisit them once again.
Yes, that into the pitch length, which just maybe, this one was slightly fuller, but it's still back of a length. And that's where he's so difficult. That was, again, not pitched up, and this one the short ball. This is the ball that he gets most wickets with, is the bouncer, because it comes at you a little faster than you expect and hits you high on top of the bat, almost a splice.
What's it like to face fast bowlers, Guppy, who've been rather deceptive in their pace? They don't look quick, but when you face them, all of a sudden you get a reality check that actually they've got a lot of pace.
Yeah, obviously it hits the bat a lot harder, especially in the nets. Bowlers don't tend to have their foot behind the line in the nets. They tend to creep forward and get a little bit closer and things like that. And in the nets it always seems a little bit enclosed. You don't feel like you got as much time or as much space to work with. But once you get out in the middle, some days bowlers feel a lot quicker than others and things. And some days, on a good wicket, on a hard, fast wicket, it's a lot harder. The ball hits you so hard, comes on, guys and then bowlers, they get their tail up and it seems like they're steaming in a lot quicker. They run in faster. You look back and the keeper's standing 30 yards back, and it's it can be quite daunting at times. But also, it's a great challenge, isn't it, as a batter? That's why I love opening the batting. challenge the swinging ball, fast ball, hits the bat nice and hard, and actually runs away as well.
Anyone who comes to your mind who fits that category that we just spoke about, someone who's been deceptively quick that you faced in your career?
Dale Steyn was always a lot sharper than what you think. He's quite a small, slight guy, and he just seems to get that look in his eye, and you know that he's going to absolutely steam in and try and knock your poles over.
All right then, there you heard it from Guppy. There's a few out there. You better watch out, all the batters out there. Anyway, on that note, we'll take a short breather. Be back just in a bit. Lahore Qalandars then clinical today overall with the bat, with the ball and in the field. But one thing that they had going behind them was the crowd. It's obviously been magnificent. Every time you see Lahore Qalandars, there's been a magnificent crowd out there. Today was no different. We also saw a stunning catch in the crowd. It was the refreshing moment of our day.
Yeah, that was a massive hit, but I think the roar when he took the catch in the crowd was more than for the six. It was 92 meters. To be able to keep still and take that catch in the crowd, I think Marty would have found it difficult too.
And you've got to give it to the crowd though. That feeling of catching it in the crowd is very different, and I'm not sure you've experienced. Have you experienced that as a growing up as a child when you were obviously watching the cricket and watching it from the stands?
Yeah, I got a vivid memory of throwing balls back as a youngster at Eden Park on the outer oval, watching Auckland play way back when I was just a young fella. So yeah, great memories.
Great memories. What about you, Baz? Have you ever been in a situation where you've been in the crowd and?
I hated fielding, so even if I was in the crowd, I wasn't watching for a catch. So.
Well, anyway, the crowd was rather animated, and of course, because we saw Lahore Qalandars win today, I'm sure they're really happy. But going ahead then, Lahore Qalandars, they've won now 3 games. They're on number 2 of that points table. So just sort of getting that momentum behind them at the right time.
Absolutely, and it's where you want to be. You want to be up in those sort of top 2 spots and have a crack at the final straight away. So it'd be great for them, if they can keep pushing through this tournament and finish up in the top 2.
Absolutely. Talking about all the action lined up in the HBLPSL, it does not end here. It absolutely continues. That's what we've seen. And we are back in Lahore tomorrow. It's for match number 17. Tomorrow at 7:25 p.m. and it's Quetta Gladiators who are taking on Babar Azam's men for Peshawar Zalmi. All right, thank you so much for your time, gentlemen. It's always great to have you on Pitside. I hope you're enjoying your time as well, Kapi, here in Lahore, because we'll be back in a couple of hours actually. We've got a game tomorrow on as well. Fantastic crowd turnout when it's Lahore. It's always great. And overall, a great game of cricket as well. We've had a couple of close games in the last few ones that we've seen, which is great for the HBLPSL. And I guess that's what we can expect going ahead as well, because now we're entering the business end of the tournament. We've seen some close-end games and we're hoping for some more exciting ones as well. That's pretty much all that we have for you from here though. Until next time, which is in a couple of hours' time, it's goodbye.